Of the roughly 7 billion people on this planet, 4 billion have no access to justice. Taking a case to court is not within their reach because of the costs, because the system is too slow, or because the legal procedures are simply too complicated.
Als ik met mijn eigen kinderen praat, die doen hun bankzaken op smartphone, die praten op smartphone. Maar als ze een juridisch probleem hebben, moeten ze tussen 9:15 en 10:15 naar die fysieke plek om te gaan praten in een rechtbank. Ik bedoel, het is voor hun echt bizar. Dus dat zijn de klanten voor de advocaten en de rechters van de toekomst.
Is our legal system in need of renewal? It may be a surprise, but Kenya is the testing ground for many innovations.
So you SMS a question to 0700 777 333. So from phone to computer, response is in the computer, and then the response to the phone.
I think one of the things that is very important whenever we're looking at technology providing access to justice is looking at it as an enabler. It is not the complete solution. You need the whole system and you need to involve people.
Welcome to Backlight, to a world in which every one of us is able to get legal support. In Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, 60 paralegals from all over the country have gathered in a hotel suite.
Morning. Morning. I'm Jamia from Kibera Justice Center.
Morning. Morning. I'm Judith from Nyando Community Justice Center.
Morning, everyone. My name is Roberto Nyamai from Kituo Community Justice Center.
These legally educated volunteers have come together for the launch of a new legal SMS-based text service, M-Haki.
My name is Amy Ongeso from Kituo Cha Sheria. I know we've all met individually or in a group. We'll be talking about how we are trying to make justice accessible using a mobile phone to be able to access justice. So I am happy to introduce our latest family, the Turkana Community Justice Center that we launched in December. Welcome to the family.
When you look at our country, the lawyers who practice in Kenya are about 7,500 in number. And you have a population of over 40 million Kenyans. So even in terms of ratio of reach to lawyers, a majority of the people have genuine issues, of legal nature or constitutional nature, but they can never get representation. And that is really an area that calls for what you say, innovation.
For years, Kituo Cha Sheria, Swahili for the House of Law, has supported Kenyan citizens who want to seek justice. Recently, they have been using innovative services that can make going to court a lot easier.
In about 2012, we came up with the concept of M-Haki because we figured out that a majority of the people in Kenya, if it is not within their household, at least in the neighborhood or in the marketplace, there is a mobile phone. This is what we call true access to justice. Yeah. Our hope is that, and we call it, the slogan for it is wakili mkononi, which is a Swahili word meaning a lawyer in the hand, because it will be a mobile phone, and so it will be in the hand. Our hope is that using these means, we will be able to bridge a lot which we know is the gap towards access to justice for the poor.
Do we all know what Haki means?
Yes.
Justice. Yes. And the M part of it, who knows the M part of it, what it means?
Mobile.
Yes, mobile justice, basically. So we want to use this SMS-based platform to dispense justice to you if you are in Turkana, the remotest part in Turkana. As long as it is receiving the Safaricom network, that is fine. You will be able to SMS us and we'll be able to respond back to you at your location where you are. If you come from Nyalgunga, it is still okay. Yes, and we give thanks to Safaricom for working so hard to give coverage everywhere within the country.
Het leuke van Kenia is, als ik het een beetje te hard zeg, het een chaotische, vaak puinhoop is. Maar er is ook een zekere vrijheid. Er is enorm ondernemerschap. Er zijn slim, hoogopgeleide mensen. In Kenia hebben ze iets dat ze niet Silicon Valley, maar Savannah Valley noemen. En daarnaast is er enorm behoefte aan vernieuwing in het rechtssysteem. Omdat iedereen een bedrijfje wil starten. Omdat iedereen opeens in een huis woont en eigenaarschap van het huis wil kunnen aantonen. En wat de gemiddelde Keniaan natuurlijk ziet is, ja, als ik naar het rechtssysteem, het officiële rechtssysteem ga, en ik kijk ook een beetje naar Europa, hoe het daar loopt, nou, dan weet ik niet of dat op tijd allemaal wel in orde komt. Dus ik wil wat anders.
Sam Muller comes from the world of international criminal law. After working at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Court of Law in The Hague, he wondered if things couldn't be done differently. Now he and his team devote their time to innovating local legal systems, for instance in Kenya. They do this by introducing the local judicial world to the opportunities that technological innovation offers.
Allereerste is het feit dat er tussen de 4 en 6 miljard mensen in de wereld gewoon geen toegang tot het recht hebben. Die kunnen niet, als er iets heel erg fout gaat in hun leven, dat kan variëren van dat je in een echtscheiding terechtkomt, of dat je uit je huis gezet wordt, of dat je ontslagen wordt. En er zijn ontzettend veel mensen in de wereld die gewoon geen toegang hebben tot een rechtsgang dan. En dat is natuurlijk een drama.
En waarom hebben ze geen toegang dan?
Omdat die systemen vaak niet werken. Omdat er machtsstructuren zijn die dat in de weg zitten. Soms is er gewoon oorlog. Op deze armoede. Het rechtssysteem kost natuurlijk ook heel veel geld. Maar we hebben natuurlijk allemaal het idee dat dat alleen maar geldt voor arme landen. Het geldt hier eigenlijk ook. De kranten staan vol van het feit dat het rechtssysteem hier te duur is en dat het ministerie van Justitie moet bezuinigen. Dus wij denken soms, nou ja, weet je, als die arme landen geen rechtssysteem hebben, laten we ons fantastisch systeem dan daar naartoe brengen. Maar ons eigen systeem is ook niet zo goed.
When we look at the piles of unread files and the ever-increasing costs, it is high time that we too started thinking about innovating our legal system. In the Netherlands, judicial procedures are getting more and more expensive. So for some people, they are moving right out of reach.
Ik vraag me wel eens af, gewoon als ik met mijn eigen kinderen praat. Die doen hun bankzaken op smartphone, die praten op smartphone. Maar als ze een juridisch probleem hebben, moeten ze tussen 9:15 en 10:15 naar die fysieke plek om te gaan praten in een rechtbank. Ik bedoel, het is voor hun echt bizar. Dat zijn de klanten voor de advocaten en de rechters van de toekomst. Die willen ook wat anders. Ik denk dat als het in Nederland niet gebeurt, dan gaat het elders wel gebeuren. Want er zijn natuurlijk landen zoals Kenia, waar je ziet dat er best wel innovatieruimte is. Ja, daar komen schitterende ideeën.
How many millions who are using mobile phones? How many millions are we? I think about 38 million subscribers. That means we are well educated and we can use the very basic level of technology that we have.
Een mooi voorbeeld van Kenia is natuurlijk dat M-Pesa. In Kenia is bijna iedereen totaal gewend aan betalen met je mobiele telefoon. In de bus, overal, bedoel, dat is heel normaal. Dat bestaat er al een jaar of 5, 6. Dus dat is al de mindset van de Kenianen. Nou, wij zijn al heel blij met onze pinpas. Nou, daar zijn zij alweer voorbij.
Ja, dus ze halen ons in.
Dus ja, in sommige opzichten halen ze ons in.
En dat is ook de reden waarom we van ze kunnen leren?
Ja, dat denk ik wel.
When you send your question to this number, it goes to the M-Haki platform. So you SMS a question, I have been fired. What do I do? The question will be reflected on the website. Up until there we're okay.
Yeah.
So once the question comes on the website, we have our lawyers, they have a laptop, they have internet. They will see the question has come from Amy. I have been fired, what do I do? Ezekiel will type in the answer on his computer. So from phone to computer, response is in the computer, and then the response to the phone.
Why is this necessary here in Kenya?
Because access to justice is a fundamental right in the Constitution. It's under the Bill of Rights, Article 48, and we must support it for people to be able to access justice. There are very many people who are not able to access their right, and as a result, they're not able to contribute to the economy of the country. Take, for example, a poor woman whose land has been taken away from her, and she cannot dig on that land, and she cannot produce on that land, and she becomes poor and she becomes a burden to the economy. How is she supposed to survive? How is she supposed to live? Take, for example, a man who's been arrested, cannot even afford a lawyer. the police have put fraudulent charges on him. He's a young man who can contribute to the economy, but he's in jail because he doesn't know his rights. This is very important. These are people, for the sake of dignity, for the sake of contributing to the economy, must access justice.
All the innovations currently being developed in Kenya have originated in one single event: the adoption of the new constitution in 2010. This constitution is regarded as one of the most progressive in the world. Willy Mutunga is one of the most prominent advocates of this new constitution. He is the face of the new Kenya, and he strives for more openness and transparency in the legal system. As a human rights activist, he campaigned for years against the rampant corruption and lawlessness in his country. In 2011, he was appointed to the highest office within the judicial branch, Chief Justice of Kenya.
When the Constitution was promulgated, on the 27th of August 2010, the President signed 3 copies. So this was the copy for the judiciary. And when I was sworn in, I was given the copy for the judiciary, and just to make sure that it's preserved.
So this was an historic moment for you?
It was an historic moment, yes, because for 40 years I had fought for the new constitution. I was part of that struggle for a new constitution, so it was historic. Yeah.
So it was a defining moment?
Yes. If you fight for something for 40 years and it happens before you die, that's historic. There was vicious opposition from religious leaders and other politicians who were against some of the provisions in the constitution.
And why were they so afraid of this new constitution?
New constitutions that are transformative. They challenge and subvert vested interests, of the status quo. So there are people who didn't want the presidential powers curtailed. There are people who didn't want devolution. They wanted everything centralized. There was a huge debate on, gay rights, abortion rights, the death sentence. So there's some people who disagreed with some of the provisions of huge debate on land. And the creation of institutions was a big thing. Because, this country was what a lot of journalists called a country ruled by the big man. Yeah. The big man was everything.
Being the big man being?
The president. Yeah, we always say that, we used to say that the president of Kenya was many things. He was the queen of the UK, he was the president of the US, and he was also the Pope. He also masqueraded as God anointed. There are some people who are very comfortable with. So the 2010 Constitution is about to be is about the rights and welfare of Wanjiku. Okay, that's a name that came up when President Moi said that constitution making is so complex. It's not for ordinary people.
They don't understand it?
They don't understand it, and so he happened to say Wanjiku. Wanjiku is a name of a woman in the Kikuyu community. And he said, what does Wanjiku know about the Constitution? And we said that Wanjiku knows about the right to food, the right to education, the right to health, housing, and the right to work. So she can talk about all those things. Land, poverty, everything. You can't have a constitution that keeps the majority of the people from, discussing it.
I'm Jamia from Kibra. Kibera is where I was born and raised and live here. It's where I do my work as a paralegal. Assalamu alaikum.
Hague shoot justice.
We have a lot of cases which people bring to me. Mostly we have domestic violence and land disputes.
Mambo ya justice, kama mtu ana shida, tunasaidiana na yeye.
Kama mimi niko na shida.
Shida gani uko nayo?
Unaweza kunisaidia namna gani?
Shida gani uko nayo inategemea na shida yako. If I hear there is a case somewhere, I would like to go and listen to it. It's a bit challenging, but I love the job. It's a passion in me. I like helping. I like volunteering. I see somebody with a problem, I'll get in and really assist. Yeah, that's how I just get motivated. That's why even I don't care. No, with money, no money, rainy, sunshine.
Kabisa, karibu tena ndani ya Pamoja Macho, ikiwa ni siku ya Thursday.
Kwa hivyo kali hapo usishtuke, usiende mbali, subalishe hiyo channel
Na kwa leo tumekuja na mambo ya M-Haki. M-Haki ni kama M-Pesa. Kuna mtu aliniuliza mbona mnapenda
kila kitu M.
Kila kitu M.
Hata nitaka kwanza kuanzisha yangu M.
Itaanza M yako pia wewe uanze ujita M nani?
M corruption.
M corruption.
Labda mtu atasema mimi nina simu ya kabambe. Unaweza tumia simu yoyote?
Unaweza tumia simu yoyote. Unaweza tumia simu yoyote.
Simu yote inafanya kazi.
Simu yoyote inafanya kazi. Hata ukiwa na ile mlika mwizi.
Way back, no one could enter courts freely to find what is happening there. Some of people, they have a mentality that they cannot even talk to a policeman to express their grievances. So they have that mentality that a policeman is somebody you're not supposed to come close to. A court,
Why not?
They believe that maybe a policeman can just decide to give you a crime which is not yours. So that mentality is with people. And then even some people believe that court belongs to those people who have problems, maybe crime issues.
Na tukisema sheria, unajua nikiwa form 1 nilikuwa nataka kuwa lawyer.
Wapi palienda pabaya?
Unajua kwanza all lawyers are liars. Watu wanaamini hivyo. Sababu ukipatikana na makosa, you have to prove me innocent. I have to be innocent. Na basi nafurahi kwamba siku ya leo basi tuko na shirika moja ambalo linahusika na masuala ya sheria na kutenda haki.
If you look at the Kenyan legal system, the language of the law, the first language still remains English. In fact, we still have the Latin. And then when you go to court, you will see most times the procedures are conducted in English.
This court was involved in a matter which was being heard by 5 judges on 16th of March. And that is why this case was pushed to today.
A majority of the clients have never been to a classroom. They've never been to school. They don't have basic education. They would not understand any legalese language. Our organization thought about that and had to use people within the localities or within the communities where we work who could understand the same language with the people who are needy.
If justice is open to everyone, no one will be violated. If everyone got access, you'll know your rights and you'll defend yourself, with or without a lawyer.
All that I'm asking for.
You are the applicant.
Yes, I am the applicant.
You are representing yourself.
I'm representing myself.
Then come back on 23rd of this month.
23rd.
When we hear the application of the parties.
I appreciate what you have done for me. It's unfortunate that we belong to a country where corruption has gone to high levels and we don't know what to do. We should only nail down and pray for our future generation. Thank you very much.
So what was this used for?
This is where the Chief Justice will hear cases. If you want to get an idea of a colonial court, this is it. The concept of judges being God, you can see it enacted here. Because there, on that long bench, that's where the lawyers would be sitting. So the prisoners will be brought to this court from the cells, and so they will be, when called out, they will stand here.
This is where they would be standing facing justice.
Facing the judges. If there was a criminal case involving death penalty, it will be here. Prisons, courts, police stations, they were all institutions of colonial oppression.
And fear as well.
And fear, that's right. You have to get away from the past, because that colonial justice was not justice to the majority of the people of this country. So even the buildings remind people of that justice. So there was a lot of what I call humanizing the courts themselves. Yeah. Because if you have characters who are magistrates and they don't look at the accused persons, and in most cases the accused person might be somebody who is bleeding, has been beaten up by the police. Now, if you don't have an eye contact with that person, that is an expression of inhumanity. You don't really care. So we called it the judiciary cultural revolution. That's what we called it, because we were changing these habits that we thought were giving the judiciary a bad name.
Yes. Francis Fukuyama, de grote politicoloog, die heeft wel eens gezegd: een goed rechtssysteem is misschien voor 80% een cultuur. En voor 20% zijn het allemaal regeltjes. En een cultuur verander je niet zomaar. Daar moet je wat voor doen. Maar dat is ook de reden waarom wij zo geloven in zo'n innovatieaanpak. Want zo'n innovatieaanpak stelt problemen centraal, brengt verschillende mensen bij elkaar om die op te lossen. En zo bouw je een cultuur. En dat is wat anders dan een vrij abstract wetje top-down aannemen en die over de mensen uitstorten. Maar veel meer bottom-up werken vanuit de noden van burgers en bedrijven. Dat centraal stellen. Dat is toch wel iets wat veel meer moet gebeuren.
Update you on the legal aid bill. So finally, the legal aid bill was passed last week in Parliament. We have fought for such a long time. The paralegals have been recognized. And so we're just waiting for the president to assent to the bill. It becomes an act. And we're ready now to operate with confidence as we have been doing in the past.
A majority of the cases that come are labor cases. People just being fired, so there's an issue of labor rights. The employers don't understand labor rights, employees don't understand labor rights. There's also a lot of succession issues from certain parts of the country. And that has told us in certain parts of the country, the patriarchy is still very strong. Women's rights, when it comes to land, is still yet to be fully addressed or fully understood. Right. And then a very important thing is, we encourage people when they are sending in their text to give us the location they're sending from.
Why is that so important for you?
So that we know what issues are in that area. And then you start noticing a trend in Mombasa that there's a lot of police harassment cases in Mombasa. We're not only just a legal aid institution, we're also an advocacy institution. So as the head of advocacy, I'd be like, there's a problem in Mombasa to do with police harassment. We need to go and investigate what's happening.
So what do you do then if you get lots of questions from one particular area?
So the plan is to go do a fact-finding mission. So the fact-finding mission will inform a lot of things. From the fact-finding mission, you can do advocacy with the government and say, listen, this is what is happening. Can we talk about this? Can we address this? Or from a fact-finding mission, you can say, well, we're going to sue you. And so where we have the strength, and where we know we have the resources, and we know we have the backing of the community, we go.
And you go to court?
We go to court.
Where are we going today?
We're going to Committee Maximum Security Prison. And I was detained in that prison myself. I remember in the 80s, the first thing that hit you when you got to the prison was the stench.
Yes.
You know, terrible, terrible, terrible smell. There's so much pain, there's so much violation of human rights in prisons. But it also tests your courage, you know, your resolve, your commitment to the cause that you are in there for. Yeah, it makes you stronger.
In 1989, when Mutunga was a law school professor, as well as being active as a union leader, he himself was arrested by the President Moi regime.
I was detained without trial for 16 months.
Those things could just happen at that time.
Oh yeah. I was lucky. I wasn't killed. I lived to tell this story. There are quite a number of people who got killed during that period. These days, the prisons have changed. There is no stench. You know, there's enough water. The prisoners are clean. They have even changed their uniforms. The food is better. They can vote. They are being allowed to study. You know, like in this cell, you see there is a bed. We would sleep on the floor, but they gave us about six blankets. So you could use some as your bedding. It's a TV, right? We had a pair of shorts and a frock. You looked like a baby. And hardly ever did we get shoes, for example.
Bare feet.
Yeah, bare feet. So that kind of humiliation, you can see, is ended. The way you treat prisoners reflects on the humanity of society. So this is done by prisoners, you can see. Now this is important. This haki itawale is let justice rule or reign. Brother, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Nice to see you again. Unaendeleaje?
Welcome to committee.
Yeah.
We did this at Muro. When someone walks into committee, they know the process that they need to go through, from arrest up to when they are convicted, up to reintegration back into the society.
Yeah.
So we decided to reflect on the wall, so that anybody who comes into committee knows the processes through which they can go through until the very end. Yeah, so it's just a reflection of what goes through the justice system. Mm-hmm. So after receiving that, of course, we tell them the challenges that they face along the way.
Even when they go out.
These legal innovations have resulted in the presence of paralegals in the prisons, inmates who have had a legal education and can advise their fellow inmates.
So this is the law school, or this is the academy?
This is the academy.
Mm-hmm. Access to justice. Access to justice.
Where are we here now?
This is the law class. This is the University of London sponsored law class. We have Gidaiga, Justice. We have James Lesakas, we have Boniface Molini, and we have Richard Kiteto. The last two have been in prison since they were convicted in 1993 and 1994 respectively. They've never had their appeals. 93? Never had 93 and 94. James Lesakat was convicted in 2001. He's also been waiting for appeal since 2001.
Yeah,
that's 15 years.
That's 15 years. It's unacceptable, yeah? Do you think you can compile this? You can compile the entire list because you know it, right?
Exactly, sir.
Okay? And make sure you...
My name is Peter Ouko. I was arrested, or I took myself to a police station like I normally say, in 1998, December. after my late wife had been found murdered outside a police station. So I went to the police station to ask why and who could have done it. But I ended up being locked up.
So what kind of conviction?
That was on murder. It was a murder charge. And of course, having to live with that, it was a bit hard on me. Because normally people say, okay, when you're in prison, the first thing you say, you're not guilty. So normally when you say that, someone says you want to clear your name. So I decided to do it the legal way.
What is your sentence?
I was sentenced to death. And it was later commuted to life imprisonment. And now as I'm challenging it in the petition, I'm challenging the entire system, how it worked. Because when I made my story back then, no one wanted to believe me. I said there were interferences with the justice system. I said so many things that no one wanted to listen to. Only for me to find out 16 years later that what I'd said at that time was a fact. One of the judges who convicted me, he was sacked for corruption immediately. And one is now facing integrity issues. He's being probed right now as we talk. Here I was crying in my heart for justice. Here was the system that had already condemned me to die, and I had to go to death row with my colleagues. And I locked myself to what was happening out there and decided to start pursuing my justice on a small scale.
During his time in prison, Peter Ouko took matters into his own hands and specialised in criminal law. This way, he was able to get his case reopened, as were many of his fellow inmates.
My offence was robbery with violence, but I had already exhausted my appeals, and because we were suffering the same fate with my colleagues, we teamed up because we were suffering a common prejudice, which is mandatory death penalty. And so, obviously, we are poor. We have to come together to be able to pull our resources together, be able to instigate an action in the court, and that is what we did.
So I realized when I came to prison, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who's complaining that I'm wrongly convicted. I'm not the one who's complaining that I got an injustice. So I decided to make the best out of it.
And how did you do that?
I decided to go to school.
And where are you now at the moment?
Right now I'm doing my LLB. Oh yeah, I'm a student. I'm a student at the University of London. This is my prison card, but this is my University of London student registration card.
And this is your study here?
Yeah, this is my study here.
You're reading?
This is where I do my reading. These are my books. More books, more books. They have books all over here. So I have lots of books here that I keep in my cabinets. Yeah, so I'm doing property law right now. We have all this. We have proper structures. We have a registrar just like the whole CJ has its registrar. This is Dixon Munene. He's my colleague here. He's put a database system, IT management. If they want to know the status of any case online, they can get it straight at the click of a button. I'm saying we're not only assisting our colleagues within prisons, but now we're also assisting people out of the prisons. They've learned of what we are doing in committee, and they're reaching out to us and asking us to assist them. So as I'm speaking right now, I'm doing 3 matrimonial property cases, ongoing right now. And I also there's someone who was beaten by a dog in a Chinese company. And he came here after watching my graduation on TV. I didn't know him. He just came to the gate and asked that I assist him. So we filed the petition in the court, and we won an award of $1 million bob. Kenyan shillings. So we're not only impacting within the prison system. We're not taking what we're learning to the people out there.
You are now a trained lawyer in prison. Do you want to get yourself out of prison?
Yeah, that's one of the issues, because I have a petition. I'm prosecuting my own case in prison right now, in court right now. I have a petition which I'm doing on my own.
And what is your hope?
My hope is to get the judge to agree with my case.
Which
position, which is that the trial was not done properly, procedurally, and the Constitution was breached.
And then you could be...
Exactly. Yeah, that's the end product, of course.
What is the end product for you?
The end product and the hope is that we walk out of this gate and go and build a nation.
I want to take advantage of your process. There is this section 1, this Article 159 to alternative dispute resolutions. We have not been informed exactly how we can approach that matter.
I would imagine that the best thing is a petition in a constitutional court. High Court in Lenaola's court, where you basically give these facts, and still in view of Article 159. Is this doable?
What were the biggest challenges that you had to face concerning the legal system here?
Justice for all. That was the main challenge. The whole culture of human rights, the whole culture of the rule of law. The fight against impunity, and the people who thought, political leaders, that they were above the law. So that was the main challenge. How was I going to deal with this vision of the Constitution, which was very revolutionary, in Kenya, because the status quo did not want a new judiciary. They wanted the old judiciary, which they could manipulate, and which basically meant justice was for the rich and the powerful. We also had to build confidence in the judiciary because there was none, particularly when the judiciary was rejected in 2007 after the elections.
In 2007, we had the post-election violence, and it's the major case that we have in our office. We tackle it day in, day out. Asante sana. Kaeni tu chini. Munaendeleaje kijiji?
Sasa wakati wa vita,
kama kuna shida ya kesi, natumai pia ameweza kukusaidia hapo.
Wakati wa hiyo election ilikuwa mbaya. Nilikuwa naishi huko Shiranga, huko chini Mtoni.
Oh, Silanga huko Mtoni.
Hapana, mimi karibu mtu mmoja kanishika, alifikiria mimi Mkikuyu, anataka kunikata. Nyumba ilichomeka, vitu zikaribika, hiyo petroli ilikuanga hapo wakachoma. Tukakosa hata maduka zikavunjwa hapo, wakakosa, skuli ikachomwa. Sasa tukakuwa na shida. Vitu tulikuwa tunakimbia, tunawaacha vitu hii. Unakuta mnakimbia, mwingine naye anaiba anaenda na.
In 2007, there was a presidential campaign. It was good. People started with the high magnitude that Party A is going to win, Party B will not win. So it went on. So people had that faith there could be a change, which was not there. They were expecting the former president who was there to be out of the seat. But funny enough, it's not what happened. There are some guys who believe that there was a rigging of the elections. So they started, no, we won't accept that result, we won't. And then they started banging. Houses were burnt, people were raped, people were killed. If you walk along the railway line, there were blood all over. People were slaughtered. People were chased from their houses. It was mass killing.
Back in 2007, most of us were stuck in our houses, not really knowing exactly what was happening in the different parts. The mainstream media was also unable to report everything that was going on. And the government was also trying to heavily downplay how severe the situation was. We were watching live cartoons on television when our country was literally burning.
The violence that had broken out in Kenya invoked the need to act among many young Kenyans. In this start-up breeding ground, a mere stone's throw away from the Kibera neighbourhood where it had all started, young software developers started thinking of new solutions that could help citizens to get justice. One of them was the successful startup Ushahidi.
Ushahidi is a Swahili word that means testimony or bear witness. So the idea behind it was to give ordinary citizens an opportunity to bear witness to the violence and the atrocities that were happening at that time.
Welcome to the South to South Lab.
And have the whole world get to know about it.
Ushahidi was founded by a group of bloggers who protested against the injustice that had taken place around 2007.
So what the four founders of Ushahidi did was essentially set up a web platform that would allow for ordinary citizens to send in messages about human rights violations, any cases of theft or violence breaking out. And they were able to do that either by sending in an SMS, sending in an email, sending in a tweet, or filling out a web form, and having that aggregated and visualized on a map. And the general idea behind that was to give Kenyans a voice when no one else could or would. A lot of the messages that were coming in around that time was, I am in this particular area, my house has been burnt down, or people are breaking into my house. So, just sharing a lot of the information around what was going on.
Niumia kabisa. Hata unaona tu mtu ananyongwa hivi. Unaona ananyongwa kabisa, lakini usiseme. Wewe unanyamaza tu, wewe unasema tu Mungu asaidie mimi nisonge mbele. Na zingine utafika huko kuambie pika magoti chini. Unapika magoti unabeba mkono juu. Hivi. No, utapita na hiyo magoti yako umeinama kabisa, hutaki kuona huyu ananyongwa. Unaenda. Ukirudi utafikiria hiyo kitendo, unasema Mungu anisaidie. Lakini tulingangana, Mungu akatusaidia.
But then what we did over the next couple of years is, seeing as a Kenyan elections is something that is very close to our hearts. We deployed our software again back in 2013 during the general election. But the strategy this time was more of a preventive measure as opposed to a reactionary response like the first one. And the goal there was to protect Kenyans' votes. And the strategy around that was by empowering the ordinary citizens to be the ones empowering their votes. So for somebody who's visiting the site for the very first time, you'll be able to see, the map with different dots on the map. These dots basically denote the reports within that specific location. We had a short code where people could send in text messages about, I'm at the polling station, but the polling station isn't open. We don't have enough ballot boxes, and making sure that that information was actionable. And just by looking at the numbers around, it gives you a better awareness of places where pockets of something are actually happening a lot more. We received more than 4,500 messages in a span of about 5 days. And through the partnerships that we formed, we actually feel that it played a very big role in ensuring that the kind of violence that broke out in 2007 did not break out again in 2013. And after a period of time, they realized, this is actually a need that exists in the entire world. It might have been an accidental, not accidental, but something that grew out of a need that came internally from within our context, but actually applies across very many other contexts. And that's how, they formed the company, open sourced the code, and then we saw a lot of other groups now reaching out and using the software in similar ways. Been deployed more than 80,000 times in the last 7 years in more than 150 countries, translated into more than 50 languages. It's been used for things like election monitoring, like what we used it for back here in Kenya. It's been used for crisis mapping when you think of the Haiti earthquake in 2010 or the Nepal earthquake last year. It's been used for human rights mapping. The groups were using it to track cases of sexual harassment against women in Egypt, and we're seeing a lot of those other maps kind of coming up, and a wide variety of other different use cases.
Roadblock.
You see, a lot of the traffic here is caused by the policemen themselves as they shake people down for coins. Yes. People ask questions. They make reports as well via Twitter. They give you the case numbers and say, this case has gone on for 20 years, it's being delayed. Then you follow up and they see that something is happening. People are very, very, very active on Twitter in this country, yes.
You're one of the few chief justices in the world, I guess.
Yes.
Who are approached by Twitter.
That's right. The amount of material I get via Twitter on corruption, actual documents, it's amazing. They are reporting, these issues of corruption, and in the case of the judiciary, they have helped us a lot. That's what, technology has obviously done. There are certain things you can't keep from people anymore.
I think one of the things that is very important whenever we're looking at technology providing access to justice is looking at it as an enabler. It is not the complete solution. You need the whole system and you need to involve people.
You cannot fight corruption in a system, in a country, unless there is political will to fight it from the political leadership. What has been very difficult for the judiciary is that we are the only institution that is doing it. And we never get judges or administrators who are accused of corruption. We don't get support from Parliament, we don't get support from the executive.
But this sounds like kind of a revolution within the system.
Yeah, it's a slow one. It's a revolution in the sense that what I see is the next election, which is next year, will be about the issue of corruption. What we've done in the judiciary in a small way is just to start that war, and it's become something that the country is now talking about.
Technology opened up the door to thinking more about how opening up these channels to communicate with these people actually helps us to build better communities.
I hope, because there are a lot of young people, men and women who have integrity, that a new culture can be created, because that's the vision of the Constitution. The vision of the Constitution is transformative. And that's what I see emerging in a very, very slow way.
Thank you for watching. For more on this subject, take a look at the playlist. You can also watch this recommended video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and we'll keep you updated on our documentaries.